Hey everyone, love it when you guys send in stuff that really gets you wondering, and this time, wow, you've really outdone yourselves.
This article from Science Daily talking about a new material that could totally change the game for how energy-efficient supercomputers can be.
Let's just say, my brain's already doing its stretches.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing area of research, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Especially if you think about, how much energy these supercomputers are using right now.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Isn't it? It's not like it's something that's, top of mind every day, but when you read that some of these systems need megawatts of power,
I mean, that's enough to run a small city.
it really hits you that there's a huge opportunity to, make a real positive impact.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's where this new material comes into play. What's exciting is that it's based on something, we're already using in electronics, ferroelectric materials.
Ferroelectric.
Okay, gotta admit, that one's new to me. Lay it on me.
All right, so think of it like this. You have this tiny, tiny switch, and you can flip it back and forth using an electric field.
That's basically what makes these materials so special. They've got this built-in ability to, change their electrical state, which is why, they're already used in things like computer memory, transistors, that sort of thing.
Interesting. So it's not just like a boring old chunk of, I don't know, metal or something. There's this whole flippin' thing going on inside.
What makes this new material, they called it a sandwich in the article, right? What makes it so different?
Well, this is where it gets really cool. We're talking about a super thin layer of material, like crazy thin, 1,000 times thinner than a sheet of paper.
And it's made of lead and strontium titanate. And here's the kicker. Instead of electricity, we can use light to rearrange its structure at the nanoscale.
Okay, wait, back up for a sec. Light is actually restructuring this thing.
I'm going to need the ELI 5 version here because honestly, that sounds kind of like magic.
Imagine a city map, right?
Yeah.
With all the different districts, each one with its own thing going on.
So, in this material, we have these tiny little regions called domains. And they're kind of like those districts. They've got these distinct properties within the material.
Okay.
Now, when we hit this sandwich with these super fast pulses of light, it's like we're shaking up that city map. The domains actually rearrange themselves.
So it's not just the material itself changing, it's like these little, what did you call them? Domains. It's like they're shuffling around inside.
Exactly. And get this, it's not just one, pre-programmed change.
Depending on how they hit it with the light, the researchers were able to create a bunch of different domain structures.
It's like a light-controlled Lego set or something, where you can rearrange all the pieces just by shining the light on them in different ways.
Okay, now that visual I can get behind. But hold on. How on earth can they even see these changes happening? This is at such a tiny scale. We're talking way smaller than microscopic here, right?
Yeah, you're talking about scales that are way smaller than what what do they call them, your standard microscopes can handle.
Right.
But the tools that they've got these days, oh man, they're pretty mind-blowing. They use something called the Nano Probe X-ray beam.
Nano Probe X-ray beam. Okay, I'm just picturing like a superhero zapping something with that.
Basically,
Yeah.
imagine like a beam of X-rays, but focused down to a point that's just a few nanometers wide.
We're talking being able to see like individual atoms here. It's crazy. And they aim this, this super precise beam at the material while it's being hit with the light. So they're basically taking these like snapshots of these domains, rearranging themselves in real time. It's wild. Like imagine capturing a high-speed film of a dance happening at the nanoscale.
Okay, you officially lost me at seeing individual atoms, but I'm going to trust you on that one.
This is definitely one of those times where I'm like, thank goodness there are people way smarter than me working on this stuff.
But okay, let's bring it back to the bigger picture for a sec. So we've got this material. We're rearranging its insides with these light beams.
How does this actually translate into making supercomputers more energy efficient? Like, what's the connection?
Well, it's all about information, right? How we
Yeah.
process it, how we store it. Right now, we're relying on moving electrons around, which, takes a fair bit of energy to do.
Okay, yeah.
But what if, instead of those electrons, we could actually use light itself to, manipulate the information within these materials?
Because light is not only insanely fast, but it's also just inherently more energy efficient.
So are we talking about swapping out, electrons for photons?
Running our computers on, literal light.
That's the general idea. I mean, we're not saying you're going to be plugging your laptop into a sun lamp anytime soon.
This is still very early research, obviously. But the potential, huge. Just imagine computers that are not only way more powerful than what we have now, but also use a fraction of the energy.
That's a pretty wild thought. So we're potentially talking about changing, everything. the way we power, the way we design, massive supercomputers.
Even down to the smartphones in our pockets. What would that even look like?
Well, I mean, beyond just like saving energy,
Yeah.
this kind of adaptability, it opens up this whole new world for how we design computing architectures. Think of like neuromorphic computing, for example.
Which takes inspiration from the human brain, how it's structured, how it functions. It's pretty amazing.
Neuromorphic computing. Whoa, okay, hold on. So we're talking about computers that like think like we do, but powered by light. Are we jumping straight from saving energy to like living in the matrix here?
Haha, not quite yet. But you're right. I mean, the implications of this go way beyond just speed or even just being energy efficient. If we can actually control how materials are structured at that level, and with something as, let's face it, readily available as light, who knows what else we could use this for? It's exciting.
That's what's so wild about this whole thing. We started with an article about making supercomputers greener, and now we're here talking about nanotechnology and light beams and computers that might like think like us. I don't know. It just shows you how everything's connected,
Yeah.
even at the tiniest level.
Yeah, I know, right? And that's what makes this kind of research so, I don't know, mind-blowing. When you start digging into these really, really fundamental questions, like how does matter actually behave at the nanoscale? Or how can we use light in ways we never even thought of before? The possibilities are kind of endless.
It's true. It's like we're
Yeah.
constantly pushing the boundaries of, what we even thought was possible.
Right.
So yeah, this has been amazing. What started as this, question about a Science Daily article turned into something else entirely.
It really did. And I think it just goes to show how quickly things are changing. Who knows what breakthroughs are just around the corner, just waiting for someone to shine a light on them.
I see what you did there. Well, on that note, a huge thank you to you for, diving into this rabbit hole with me. And an even bigger thank you to all of you, our amazing listeners, for sending in this incredible piece of science news. Because, sometimes the biggest, most groundbreaking discoveries really do start with just a little spark of curiosity.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to geek out about this stuff with you. Until next time.